very, very good FA Cup final. And Hatchin! What a magnificent goal!
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the midweek edition of All Things Sky Blue, live on YouTube, and will be out on the our podcast channels tomorrow. Before I bring in our guests for tonight, to get a bit of housekeeping out of the way, our show is sponsored by Right Steel Fabrication for all your fabrication needs across Coventry and the Warwickshire area. We are partnered, shall I say, with the Sky Blue Tavern and Dylan's Brewery, and the anecdote, not to forget. And we are also part of the Sports Social Network, where you can listen to our podcast wherever you get your podcast from. And last but not least, we are sponsored by Sky and Friends Dog and Pet Walking Services. So tonight's show, we're talking about the upcoming game, Saturday tea time encounter against Swansea City. Joining me tonight, we've got Cameron, and hopefully we'll be having Amy Clement from Swansea City supporter who'll be coming on to talk about the Swans as well. So without further ado, I'll bring on Cameron to start with. Cameron, good evening. How are we doing?
Evening, mate. I'm not too bad. How are you doing? And good evening to everybody else.
Yes, good evening. So let's talk about obviously a disappointing result at Southampton, as we touched on the last show. Moving forward, we've got Swansea away. Swansea are obviously a side that been a bit inconsistent, but their overall home record has been excellent in recent games. Been unbeaten since November under Vitor Matos. What's your initial thoughts looking ahead to the game?
I'm looking forward to it in the sense that it's going to be a very tricky game, but I think we've shown it this season that the trickier the challenge is, the more we've kind of embraced it and risen to the occasion more often than we haven't. They haven't lost at home and since November, as you're saying, it's be away form, but I would say is why they're not in a playoff spot at the moment, because if they were to be more consistent on the road, they could be up there. So it's definitely not going to be an easy game, and I could definitely see a lot of top sides going there towards the end of the season and struggling there, ourselves included. But I've always got this belief that our away form has also been very good, as well as the home form. So this is a game that could genuinely go either way. Swansea are definitely good enough to keep their home form going at home, but I also think we're good enough to end that winning run at home. So I'm definitely excited, and I think if you're a neutral, it's going to be a fun game to watch, and I could see this being a high-scoring affair, in fairness.
Yes, I guess one bit of team news, what we do know about is No Hadji Wright. How big a blow would that be for us?
It's definitely a blow, especially with the form that he's been on. Back amongst the goals, he's been challenging Jan Depotnik for that golden boot, as well as McBurney has. But at the same time, in the hope that it's just a few weeks, I do think that Ellis Sims and Brandon Thomas Asante do have the ability to cover for that short-term period, and I think we'll still be okay. But it's definitely undeniable that losing a player of Hadji Wright's quality, especially with the form that he's been on, that is definitely a big blow.
Yeah, I think I don't actually know how long he's out for. I guess that will come out in the coming days, but I'd imagine he'll be out for a month or so. So with that in mind, I guess the question is, does Lampard... I guess there's two questions. We don't know the fitness situation of Jack Rodoni, and I guess it would mean, does Ellis Sims come into play? And let's suppose Jack Rodoni is fit. How does that leave the makeup? Could you play Jack Rodoni and Thomas Asante? I know we're looking at lots of different permutations, but if you used to make an educated guess now, what would you think could happen in those positions?
I think Ellis Sims will play as the number 9. I think that is undoubtedly going to be the case. We know that Thomas Asante can play as a number 9, and I think he's very capable in that role. But I think for much of this season, he's been this utility attacker in the sense that you can play him out wide on either flank or as a number 10, including a 9 if needed. But I think if we're going to see Thomas Asante, it will more likely be in the number 10 supporting striker role to give Ellis Sims like an outlet to feed the ball to.
Yeah.
So that's what I think will be the case while Haji Wright is absent.
I don't think Ellis Sims is of the same quality as Haji Wright on his day. I think Haji Wright probably is our best finisher, and the goals per season will tell you that. He gives 100%, but he's one of those strikers, Ellis Sims. He is capable, if you give him a chance, he can put one away, can't he? He's not, he's a bit inconsistent, but he has got, I think about the goal against Middlesbrough as an example, the quality of that strike. He has got that in him, hasn't he?
Absolutely. Sims is what we call a confidence player. When things aren't going right, he's someone who thrives off encouragement and reassurance. And then when it's going well, he can really thrive off that, because I saw a stat somewhere where he's only had 11 starts this season. He's not started many games. However, in those 11 starts, he's scored 8 times. So just by the law of averages, it suggests that he tends to do better in terms of goals, at least, when he's starting a game than he is when he's coming on. And I'd say 8 goals in 11 starts is a very good goal return. So that's why if he's on form, if he's confident, I think we'll still be okay.
Yeah, I think. Look, let's look at the overall record. We've got 79 goals in in the league this season. So, and those goals have pretty much been shared about. Okay, Haji Wright is injured. He scored 15, 16 goals this season. So it is a loss, but I don't think we should be too alarmed or concerned about that. We've got other players in the team who contribute goals, so I'm not massively concerned. But what I will say is I think the next 3 games ahead for us are tricky games. You're playing sides, I'd say Swansea, probably one of those sides that probably not going to make the playoffs. But then the next 2 games after that, you've got Derby and Hull. Derby just outside the playoffs and Hull in the playoffs and looking to cement that position. How would you rate these next 3 fixtures? Would you just say they're tough games?
Oh yeah, I think all of them are tough games. If I'm to go on a scale from easiest to trickiest, even though you refer to it's unlikely Swansea will make the playoffs, I do actually think that is the trickiest of the 3 games, just because of the home form. But at the same time, you've got Derby. Although I think there is enough quality in our squad to win and possibly win comfortably, you still can't write them off. They have been very good this season. There is quality in that squad. Eustace has done a fantastic job. And there is every possibility that on their day, they can beat anybody. And as for Hull City, their recent form has been a bit patchy as they've kind of drifted away from the automatic promotion picture. And it looks like they're just going to be in the playoffs, or they might not even get in the playoffs if their poor form continues. But they're still a dangerous team on their day, and they're still in a playoff place, and they'll be determined to keep that place while they're being hunted down. So I think every game is going to provide a different challenge. Swansea for their immaculate home form. Derby have got a good bit of momentum going now, and although Hull City have not been in great form, they still have a big win in them on their day.
So let's just go back to this game on Saturday. I've watched a little bit of Swansea. I watched them in the last game against Wrexham. They always play a very similar way, very good passing side, nice, pretty in the eye football. Which players that you've seen from them could cause us problems? Obviously, for Potnick's the obvious one for his goal scoring, but who would be their sort of key supply line player?
Their left back Josh Tyman has had a really good season. He's already got 9 assists in the Championship. He's been a really, really good outlet for them. Another one is their captain, Ben Cabango. He was the person who replaced Matt Grimes as captain when Matt Grimes signed for Coventry. He's took that leadership role on really well. Wales international, a very, very high level Championship defender. And another one is Ethan Galbraith. He signed from Leyton Orient in the summer, and I think he's taken to the Championship like a duck to water. I think he's been absolutely superb for Swansea.
Yeah.
So I would say the 3 danger men, if you're not thinking of the Potnick, is Tyman, Cabango, and Galbraith. But I'll also give a shout to Liam Cullen. Even though he hasn't started many games, the amount of goals he has scored off the bench this season is definitely a cause for concern. So I think we also have to be mindful of him. And he was unlucky not to equalise against us on Boxing Day, if I remember correctly. So was it Boxing Day? I think it was Boxing Day. So he definitely has a goal in him from the bench. So we have to be mindful of him as well.
Well, he should have scored a Boxing Day. I think it was a pretty clear chance. But yes, I think Liam Cullen is second top goal scorer of the season, so he's an obvious danger. Just going back to our potential side, Lati Bodier is available for selection. Bobby Thomas we don't know about yet. Again, that I'm sure that'll be asked in the coming days when the local media speak to Lampard. If for argument's sake Bobby Thomas is available, do you change the back two? Would you drop Kitchen? Would you drop Wolfie and bring on Lati and maybe Bobby Thomas?
Yeah, no. For me, it's no question. I think Wolfenden has filled in well. I think Kitchen has filled in well for the time that Bobby's been unavailable, and obviously Lati's suspension. But I think just based off form, Bobby and Lati have been the best centre half pairing in recent weeks. Lati, he just hasn't let us down when he's been called upon. And in terms of Bobby, the moment he's fit, he goes straight in. For me, he is the star defender at the club. He is possibly, when he's on it, I've said it so many times, I still think he's the best centre half in the Championship, and I still think he gets in the Championship team of the season in spite of his difficult winter. So get Bobby Thomas fit and firing. I think we are just better defensively when Bobby is in the side. So if he's available, he's in there straight away.
Yeah. Let's go to some comments from our audience. Please keep the comments coming in. It's really appreciated. So thank you for that. Glenn Watkins wants Lati in at centre half. He's also commented on our YouTube channel. He's asking, will Yang make the bench given Wright is injured? Is that a play you'd like to see come into the team, in your opinion, or not in the team, but on the bench at least?
Yeah, possibly. It's a possibility, but at the same time, I don't think it makes much difference because although whether he would play or not, I'm just not sure because you have Marcelo who he's not really up to speed at Championship level yet. Although we've seen glimpses of his talent, Marcelo, who is still getting up to speed, has still been the preferred choice over Yang. I'm not going to use that to say anything negative about Yang because I've just not seen enough of him to form an opinion. But at the same time, Lampard sees him in training every day, and if a not fully fit Marcelo is a preferred option, I think it's going to be difficult for Yang to get back in.
It kind of makes a mockery of this of the loan signing, isn't it? Because clearly that Tottenham, wanted game time for him, and we're not providing with that, which to me is a bit strange because he did play at Portsmouth early in the season.
He did indeed, and he scored some fairly important goals for him too, which I think certainly from a Tottenham point of view, you'd be absolutely fuming because you've promised them that he'll be playing and he's barely featured at all. Not much of it, I think, is his fault. I do understand that Mason Clark is a very, very good winger at this level. Sakamoto's on form. Esse, we know how talented he is as much as he can be frustrating. We know how talented he is. And obviously, Marcelo's being integrated into the English game. So it's just really frustrating. He's drawn the short straw and not really much of it is his fault.
Yeah. A question from Ben Watkin. Good evening, Ben. He's asking, could we go back to 3-5-2, or do you think
No.
No. Well, if you're Frank Lampard, what would you do?
I think you still play a similar system. You just I think you still play the back four and you still play the two pivots in because it's working. You still have your wide men who are in good form. If you want to maybe make it to a 4-4-2, so you give Brandon Thomas Asante a start with Sims, for both strikers, and Asante can kind of have that free roam to do whatever he likes in the benefit of our attacking output. Maybe he can do that, but I don't think Haji Wright's injury necessarily calls for a 3-5-2. I think that's only something you'd do if we had an injury crisis on the flanks.
Yeah. Question from Sky Blue Sam is asking, does Esse play in the 10 role or Esse?
Possibly, but at the same time, I think you get more out of Esse when he's playing on the right, and he can just But even though he's on the right, he kind of tends to has a free roam anyway. He kind of goes where he wants because he can be effective anywhere on the pitch. But I don't think you want to restrict SA. You kind of want to give him that license because I think that's when you get more out of him.
Yeah. I think for me, SC's been a better substitute. I think a better impact player. I guess he'll be a bit disappointed he hasn't had the game time he wanted. But for me, Mason Clark and Sakamoto have been our best two performers in that position. And I think it'd be very harsh to drop them personally. So they for me, if it providing they're fit and they're ready to go, that they start week in, week out for me. Yeah, I think it's a tricky game, isn't it? It's not, I think psychologically, if we can get into this break of 80 points, I wouldn't say we're obviously not there yet, but it gives you a massive boost going to the break, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's crazy to say because 77 and 80, it's only a 3-point gap. But I think psychologically, when you realise that you're at the 80-point mark, you realise, okay, we're so close now. Yeah. And it's the same in any league, 80, 90 points. Okay, that's what you need. The moment you're in the 80-point mark, you get this weight that drops off your shoulders, and you're like, okay, I'm a lot more relaxed. We still have to take it one game at a time. A lot can still happen, but there's just this sense of relaxation where, okay, we're really close. We still have a job to do, but it's not so stressful now we're at the 80-point mark rather than the 70-point mark.
Yeah. And even though we lost that game against Southampton, I thought it wasn't a case of we were poor and they were really good. I thought we were a little bit, unlucky not to have got a point out of that game. So I think you got to kind of draw on the positives on that ahead of this game. And in terms of the way we operate in this game, do you think Lampard will? I mean, I think we like to press. Do you think that's the approach he'll take for this game in terms of tactics, or do you think he'll try and sit back and maybe try and soak up pressure and hit Swansea on the counter attack?
I think either works because Swansea, they like the possession, they like to play out of the back. You can do the high press and force them into mistakes. Personally, I would go for the press, but that's just me. I like the aggressive approach. Obviously, you have to be careful not to get caught out and have a player that's left too much space and put a killer pass through. But I think with how Swansea like to keep possession, I think the press can be a weapon.
Yeah. In
this particular game. So if you ask me personally, I would go for the press.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's probably the right approach. Just try and get in their faces, try and be physical. They like to play the passing game. I think you've got to try and disrupt that.
I think we also need to make it physical.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they will enjoy it.
No, and I think that's possibly a good reason to have Bobby Thomas in. I think Bobby Thomas is probably our best defender when fit. He's a physical player and he's good at set pieces. I hope. Keep my fingers crossed he's fit. And it'd be great if we can get Jack Rodoni back. But I think Lampard has said that he'll be back either this game or the Derby game. I believe, is that right?
Yeah, I think so. But that being said, if he's not fully ready, don't rush him back. It'd be great to have him back, but we're in a position where we don't need to rush key players back anymore. If you need that extra time to rest and recuperate, take that time. We will be okay.
Yeah. And how's the nerves ahead of the game from your point of view as a fan?
I'm confident. Although I don't really pay attention to other fixtures at the minute because we're the league leaders, we're in control of our destiny. Knowing that Middlesbrough have to go to a difficult trip to Ewood Park where Blackburn need all the points they can get in their fight for survival. Millwall and Ipswich are playing each other, so there's a possibility they could both drop points and take points off each other. I'm fairly relaxed, and I think the fact that they're all playing before us, I can just put my feet up and just enjoy those games as a neutral and just assess them game by game. If 2 out of 3 of those teams win, okay. Fair enough. It's a title race. They're going to win most of their games, but I'm not worried either. It's like, okay, it's just a bit more pressure, but I'm thriving off that pressure. I've not really seen us being a proper title race before. That includes the 1920 season because I do think we were going to end up winning Batley very, very comfortably.
Yeah.
Where that could still happen, we could still fall away, but I'm fairly relaxed. Like, there's 8 games to go. It's 1 game at a time. We still have a 7-point lead. I think we're in a situation where we just play the percentage game. If we can increase the points gap, fantastic, but we're in control. Play the percentage game.
I think if we can get to, I think the Ipswich Borough game, I think is around towards the back end. I think it's around when we've got Blackburn away. I think around that weekend. I think if we can stay around at least 5 points clear by the time that fixture happens, I think we're in a really strong position.
Yeah,
I think that's what I'm sort of guesstimating at. I think the next 3 games are tricky games, as you say. I think Swansea got a good home record, but we had a good home record at Southampton and they won. And I think our away record, in fairness, has improved, hasn't it, in recent games?
Yeah, absolutely. The away form now compared to the winter, it is night and day. It's night and day. We're really struggling to buy a win since we beat Middlesbrough at Riverside. But then we beat Middlesbrough at home, and I think it just gave us this newfound belief, because it was at a time where, oh God, we really could slip away if we're not careful. We really need to win this game, and thankfully we did. And I think it gave us this belief on the road as well. And I think it's also largely helped that West Brom were really struggling at the time, and I think them struggling, having a very winnable away game, I think it helps. Just a very comfortable afternoon, and it's not me downplaying our win against West Brom, because you can only play what's in front of you. It's still a tricky tie, but we got that win. But then it's the Sheffield United win, I think, where Sheffield United have been in improved form. They've been very hard to beat at Bramall Lane. To come from behind, to score those two quick goals and then win, that is really, really good character against a very good informed Sheffield United side, who arguably could argue very, very unlucky to come away empty-handed, and I would agree with that assessment. And I think since then we've had this belief that we can beat anybody. And another day would have beaten Southampton. The confidence is definitely back, and I don't think Saturday's defeat changes a thing.
Yeah, no, I think we'll get to predictions later, but I'm confident we can get something out of this game. Yes, disappointed that Wright's injured, but we've got plenty of players there that could come in and do a job. I mean, I remember Wright was out for quite a considerable period last season when he injured at Sunderland with that ankle, and we did pretty well without him. So I'm optimistic that we're going to go there and get a good result. We've got good players who can come off the bench and affect a game. I think Romain Esse, for me, is a fantastic talent. I get the criticism from fans about some fans will say he's a bit of a show pony, but I tell you what, he's got a shot in him, hasn't he? He's got a very, very powerful shot.
He does indeed, and he's quite a good finisher too, because he's the 2 goals he's scored, he's tucked them really well. He can skin a player very quickly if you're not careful, and he does have show pony tendencies. But I think that's what happens when you're a young player who's come from the streets of London. You want to be flashy, you want to be full of flair, and while yes, I agree he needs to learn when to do it at the correct times, I don't think you want to completely put a leash on the young lad either, because that's when they stop being themselves. And if you want to entirely coach that out of them, then they can lose confidence. Yes, he has to be smarter. Yes, he has to learn, but that comes with playing games. It will come. And despite that show pony tendencies, I personally think he's been an absolute joy to have here. He's learning a lot. He's learning on the job. And you can definitely see that there is a top player in waiting.
Yeah.
So, while yes, the show pony stuff can be frustrating when he does it at the wrong time, he is also getting smarter. He is learning when to do it at the right and wrong times. He still gets it wrong sometimes, but you can also see that he is learning. And that is what he's on loan for, to learn. And he's been an absolute pleasure to have.
I agree. I think one of the things I did notice with Romain Esse when he came to side in the Preston game was he was tracking back really well defensively. He was helping out Jay De Silva, and he was doing a good job defensively for the team. Which he's a player who likes to get forward, but defensively he was doing. He obviously Lampard's had a word of him, so I think he's a top player, and I think he could be a difference maker for me. He's one of them players that he's got the ability just to get that unlock a defence by a bit of quality. He's got a powerful strike. He's got pace. So I'm really excited that he's part of our team, and the fact that if we do have an injury to Mason Clark, Sakamoto, we've got a ready-made replacement. I like the looks of Markello as well. The Preston game, I thought he was excellent. I suppose it's difficult to assess someone like him because it was under no pressure. We were 3-0 up, and the game was dead. But he did show some quality. You could see some signs of why we signed him.
Yeah, absolutely. Very tricky, good on the ball. He's quite good defensively too, because against Middlesbrough, he had to do a lot of defensive work. It's very interesting because the talent is there. It's just more to do with getting used to the pace of the English game. And it's kind of a similar situation that Brow's been under, in the sense that he was good in the Spanish second division. He's had to get used to the pace. He's had fitness issues and some injury issues, plus not helped by a really informed Jay Da Silva. But at the same time, he didn't really put too much wrong apart from the Charlton mistake. And I think it's similar with Markello. He's had a couple of cameos. That probably will remain the case until the end of the season. Maybe if we wrap up the league early, hopefully we do that. Maybe he'll get his first start and he can show more what he can do. But I like what I see so far, and I can see why we've invested that money. And the only thing I'll say is, if we're promoted and we hear an announcement that Markello has been loaned to a Championship side, please don't react like it's a waste of money. That's just not the case. It's just the Premier League is a big step up. He will probably need a full season in the Championship. And then say if we go down, we have a ready-made winger in place, or say we stay up and he has a really good season in the Championship, he might get his chance then. So if he is loaned out next season, don't be alarmed. It's just he needs to get used to the English game.
Yeah, no, I echo those words. I think he probably does need a full season in the Championship. £4 million a lot of money, but it's an investment, and clearly the club believe in his ability. I guess I always worry a bit because I think of Bassett when we signed him. We paid a lot of money for him as well, but obviously that hasn't worked out. But clearly, I think I like the look of him. I think there's quality there. And I guess the fact we signed him would mean someone like Raphael's position. The club is probably not. He's probably not going to be staying with us for the long term, is he?
Yeah, it's a shame, really, because from a short burst that we saw Raphael, I like from what I saw of him. His stint at Wigan, it's been a bit hot and cold. He's had moments where we can see how good he is, and he's had those moments where always a bit of inconsistency. But I think the positive for him is he's managed to stay fit in spite of those injury issues the season before. And I think it is. I don't think it's largely helped that he has been part of a struggling Wigan side where it can be hard to stand out when you're just trying to stay in the league. But at the same time, he's got a foothold in the English game. He did well in Australia. He's got a foothold in the English game, whether that's going to be next season in League One again, or maybe goes up to the Championship. He's got a place in the EFL, and whether that is permanently or on loan, I could see him still having a good career. So if I'm Raphael, it's not a signing I would consider an ultimate disaster. I just think he's more of a victim of us possibly going up another league again, and whereas we need to sign quality to stay in that higher league, where maybe if we're in the Championship next season, he might have had a chance to be integrated into the side.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get some more comments from the audience. Got one here from Assassins Unite, 3434. 7 points clear. We've got this. It's only because we're fans and we're thinking of all possibilities. We're 1 to 200 to go up. Follow the money. Well, to be honest with you, I'm always betting on Ipswich, Middlesbrough, and Millwall to win unless they're playing each other, and I'll probably continue that trend because I usually lose in bets. So I'm going to continue that in the hope that consistency happens. Otherwise, I'm in the money, so I can't really lose really. But from a Coventry point of view, hopefully they will slip up. So let's. Look at the games this weekend. We've got Middlesbrough going to Blackburn and Ipswich, Millwall playing each other. I'm optimistic that there will be points dropped definitely in the Ipswich Middlesbrough game. But do you think Blackburn could help us out result against Borough. Not that we need it, obviously, we're 7 points clear, but every sort of slip up does obviously take the pressure off us slightly.
Yeah, absolutely. I still think Middlesbrough will have enough to get over the line and win, but at the same time, you just never know. I think this is the time of year where you really don't want to be playing a team that's fighting for survival. Very even trickier than against teams who are like mid-table, don't have a lot to fight for. And I think we kind of learned that the hard way last year towards the business end of the season, where we suffered pretty horrible defeats against Plymouth and Luton in both games, where I think both of them were deserving winners, and both of them in the end they got relegated. But they are horrible teams to be up against when you need the points. And luckily we got over the line and still made the playoffs. It's not a good time to play them because they're desperate. They need every point they can get. So it's definitely going to be a very difficult game for Middlesbrough. So it's going to be interesting, that one for sure. And although I think Middlesbrough will be okay and win, Blackburn have definitely got a result in them. And as for Ipswich, Millwall, I'm going to go rogue and predict a 2-1 Millwall win. I think everyone's written off Millwall all year, but they've got a really, really good team. They've got a manager who is just perfect for that sort of side. He has got the absolute most out of his players. You've got quality players in Tristan Kramer, in Femi Aziz, Ivanovic, so good to watch. When he can stay fit, Coburn has a goal in him as well. So, although everyone's expecting a Coventry, Middlesbrough, Ipswich top three, just don't write off Millwall yet because they're still very much in there.
And also not forgetting they've got Barry Bannon as well in their ranks, who's he's a very experienced player, didn't a really good job at Sheffield Wednesday. And they've also, I think their left back Sturge's red card got rescinded today as well, which is obviously a boost.
Yeah, absolutely. I think without that red card, they possibly win that game 2 or 3-0. Before that red card, they look like they'd be okay to get over the line. Then they'd have been spending the weekend second in the table. It wasn't to be, but I also don't think it's a hammer blow. It's those games happen. It was a difficult day, but I still think they'll be okay. They're still very good at home. They can still pick up a result on the road, so they're still very much in there.
Yeah. Just going back to our game at Swansea, just one thing I forgot to bring up was obviously it's a return to Swansea for Matty Grimes and potentially Jake Bidwell if he comes on. But I suppose let's focus more on Grimes. Obviously, he's not going to get a very good reception from Swansea fans. Do you think that will have any impact on his performance? I mean, do you anticipate that he might be used as motivation to beat them?
Yeah, it'll absolutely motivate him. He'll motivate him, and I'm sure there's possibly experiences where he would have got much worse abuse when Swansea were having derby days against Cardiff. I imagine the abuse he'd got from those games would have been far worse than anything Swansea fans have possibly given over the weekend, which will be a lot because they weren't happy in terms of how he left. But he'll be fine. I think he'll use that as motivation. Galbraith against Grimes is going to be a really fun battle in the middle of the park, and I can't wait to see it.
Yeah. No, I think he's been. I think having Onyeka there has been a massive help, though, isn't it, for his performances? Because before he came along, he just struggled, didn't he? He had a really bad, and it was his form of symptomonious of our form as a team.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it happens over the course of the season, though. It's a long, grueling season. You're going to have dips in form. Even I think a lot of the league's top players have it as well. Bobby had it during the winter. He come back from that and he's been in top form since. Hadji Wright, he had a really difficult long period, but he's been back on it. He's been superb. It took Rudoni months to get back to the same confident stuff that he'd been, but it finally came back. So it happens, but it's how you respond. Like, you have to ride that wave, and that's what he's done. I do think he is largely helped by Onyeka being there. Absolutely, Onyeka's quality, it goes without saying. But at the same time, I think a lot of it Grimes still takes credit for. That's what great players do. They get through difficult periods and then they return to form. That's exactly what Matt Grimes has done.
Yeah. I should have said symptomatic, not symptomonious, but anyway, that's just me. Thinking on top of my head and said the wrong word, so symptomatic, so apologies for that. Okay, let's just look at the predictions then for Swansea. What's your heart and head telling you ahead of this game?
My head and heart are actually telling me the same thing. I'm still going to go 2 on the Coventry like I did on Sunday. I think Swansea will open the scoring. Again, I think Jan Potnik will open the scoring, and it'll be a frustrating first half. But then I think second half we get those 2 quick fire goals, and then we get over the line with a win. Will be challenging, but I think that'll be what happens. And if we do that, I think it would be a big win, especially due to Swansea's really impressive home form, especially since their new manager has come in. It'll be a very, very tricky game, but I think there's enough in the tank to get that win, and it'll be a very well-earned win if we do.
Yeah, I usually go on the fence, but I'm gonna back us to win as well. I'm actually going the same scoreline 2-1. I'll be boring and say I think Swansea will score first, and then I think we'll get 2 goals in the second half to win. But I think it's going to be a really difficult game. We have to really grind it out to get the win. I'm backing. I'm going to say it'll be controversial. Go for a Matt Grimes goal to silence them, and I think Thomas Asante will get a goal. Matt Grimes hasn't scored many goals, does he? Of course, but but I'm going to be optimistic. I think we're going to win. And I think we want to bounce back from Southampton because I think we'll be disappointed. We were disappointed with that result. Don't think it was a bad performance, but we just lost the key moments. And I think, like every game in this league, you've got to win those key moments, and hopefully we'll do that. But I'm going to be optimistic and say we'll win. I guess the only other thing I wanted to talk about was the international call-ups. Various players. I think De Silva, Onyeka has been called up. I think Yang's been called up. I can't think anyone else has been called up, but that's good for them, but obviously on the flip side, from our point of view as fans, we don't want them injured, do we?
No, of course. It is always on your mind where, if they get injured, they could be out for a while. But at the same time, I've always been a belief of I don't subscribe to the idea, but I hope they don't get called up, because whether we football fans like it or not, international football is still the pinnacle of this sport. Representing your country is still the biggest dream you can possibly have, whether that's England, Scotland, San Marino, Lithuania, regardless of your country, regardless of where you're from. Representing that country is the biggest achievement, in my view, that any footballer could have. And Jay De Silva, he's been in brilliant form. He's become more of a regular starter for Wales. I know Amy hasn't joined us yet, and hopefully she does before this ends. But because I was curious to hear her thoughts on Jay De Silva since he's been in the side. Yeah. Kai Andrews, he just missed out on the senior squad, but he's in the under 21s. I think he'll continue to impress at that level. Jamaica and Suriname haven't announced their squads yet, but we will keep an eye on that, because there is a possibility that Milan Van Ewijk, especially for rumours of him switching to Suriname, are true, will be in the mixer. And the same if Mason Clark is part of the Jamaica setup. So we will keep our eye on that. And obviously Latabodia is in the Jamaica setup too. Yang is in the South Korea under 23 setup. They have a really good talent pool, so I'm sure he'll do well there, and it'll be good for him to get some minutes. So yeah, I'm looking forward to all of that, and it should be good.
I think Thomas Asante's in the Ghana squad as well, wasn't he? I think.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about him. And Japan are yet to announce their squad too. I believe they announce their squad tomorrow. Whether Tatsuro Sakamoto is in there or not, I don't know, because Japan, they do have a really stacked amount of depth and talent, especially in his position. But if he does get called up, then I'll be really happy for him. It's one of them, though, because they are playing Scotland in a friendly. So if he starts versus Scotland, tear Scotland apart, it's one of them where I'm like, okay, I've won, but at what cost?
Yeah. I think there's a part of me that thinks I don't want him to get called up because I don't want him to get injured. But then I can say the same for all the players that are getting called up. But it's good to see where we are as a football club, that we've got players that are playing international football. I mean, you look at where we were. We've been in the Championship about 6 years. We wouldn't have dreamt of that scenario, would be 6 years ago. But look how quickly this club's grown. It's great to see.
Absolutely, and I think it's fantastic. Like I think the last time that this was a regular occurrence was maybe in our first stint in the Championship in the 2000s. You'd have had the likes of Rob Page, Michael Doyle, who'd have been in the Ireland setup, Leon Best. I think Leon McKenzie was in the Ireland setup as well. So it would have been all the way back then. So I mean, obviously we're back in the Championship. You have Leo Ostigard, who was playing for Norway when he was with us. Victor Gyökeres playing for Sweden. Jada Silva playing for Wales. Kai Andrews playing for Wales. So having all these players available for international selection, while yes, you can worry about players getting injured. It's natural. It's like a parent when their child goes out on their own in the first time. You don't want anything to happen to them, but at the same time, you just have to let them spread their wings and thrive on the international stage.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's good to see, and obviously wish all the players all the luck in the world. But the most important thing is don't get injured. That's the most important thing, because we want to keep the majority of this squad intact, and no injuries, please. So I think we'll wrap it up for tonight. Unless anything else you want to bring up, Cam?
I think we've covered everything, really.
Yeah. Get some more questions. Any more questions you want to come in, and I'll get them read out. Any questions you want to ask us about the game, quickly bring them in, and I'll get them read out. And we'll talk about it. Dan Boy 26, just full 3 point Saturday. Play out Sky Blue. Sims to bang in the goals in Wright's absence. Yeah, I think Sims can do it. I guess one thing I've got to talk about is obviously it's another sellout, with fans. I mean, that's another great thing, isn't it? That we are packing out the away stand, and why not? Top of the league, we're doing well, and I expect a really good atmosphere from our fans.
Absolutely. The away support all season has been second to none. Superb. And I think, although yes, the players have to do the job on the pitch, but I think having good fan support on the road, psychologically, it gives you that boost. It absolutely gives you that boost. And when you have that away support behind you, it just makes you capable of extra things, just from a psychological standpoint, especially when you can be aggressive and frustrate the home crowd and you have the away fans singing.
Yeah,
that can give you that extra lift, because you can frustrate the home side and you've got the away fans behind you. That's when upsets can happen and unlikely wins can happen, and that's what we've done all season.
Yeah, I always like the twist and shout song, particularly in the second half, that we tend to chant, because it gives us it gets the fans going, it creates that atmosphere, that buzz. But it's always passionate. I've been to a few away games myself this season, and the atmosphere is always brilliant. Although I might ban myself from going to away games because I've not seen away win yet this season, so I might not go any more games. We'll see. And I think Blackburn away, I think we should be getting 8,000 fans as well, 8,000 fans. I see Dan Boy's message about that, and he's right. I think it's about 8,000 fans. So it's gonna be really good. It's gonna be really partisan atmosphere. I'm really looking forward to be part of it. But I don't know. This is probably the most exciting I've been as a Coventry City fan in 25 years. And I think the fact we're so close it's just the fact that it's a generation of Coventry fans. 25 years is a generation of Coventry fans. And Cam, you're in that sort of age bracket where you haven't really seen us as a Premier League side. How excited do you feel as a young Coventry fan about the prospects of us becoming, a Premier League football club, potentially? I'll say potentially for now.
Very excited. The conversations we've had. That I voiced my dislike for how the Premier League is run.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've not seen my club at the top, and I still want to see that, because financially it's a massive boost for the club. We're talking over a 200 million payout, increased sponsorship, increased revenue, just increased TV money from Sky and TNT Sports as well. And not to mention just that, you'll be getting TV money from a load of foreign channels, beIN Sports, all the different channels for Germany, France, Italy, Spain, who will be broadcasting English games. You'll be getting TV money from that too. And all that is massive. But just from a fan's point of view, even if it's just one season, hopefully it'll be lots of seasons and we can establish ourselves. You get to see your club go against the best in the world.
Yeah.
Erling Haaland, Bruno Fernandes, Mo Salah, Virgil van Dijk, Donnarumma, Declan Rice, Victor Gyökeres, all these top players, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool, Manchester City. You've got teams like Everton, Brentford, who are on the rise in a far more competitive Premier League. And it's exciting. It's so exciting. And yes, it's going to be a challenge. And just staying up on 17th with goals scored, that is a massive achievement in its own right. But I'm loving the challenge. I'm excited to see what type of players we bring in. Will we go for continuity? Will we rip up the squad? I personally hope we don't, because I love continuity. But I'm excited. There's just so many questions. There aren't any. I don't think there's any answers. But that's what's exciting. We're stepping into the unknown. Are we going to be swimming with dolphins? Are we going to be swimming with sharks? Either way, I'm excited.
I've never heard of Gyökeres. I didn't know he was playing the Premier League. I say tongue in cheek. But no, I think the thing is, if we get there, and I'm going to keep saying if we get there because I don't want to tempt fate, but if we do get there, I think it's just the fact that we're underdogs every game. We've got nothing to lose, so you'll get. I mean, I know some of my friends who are like very doom and gloom merchants. Oh, we're going to get battered every week, but I don't see it like that. I see it's an opportunity of playing against, as you rightly say, the best that this country's got to offer in talent, in terms of the signings, etc. And we just got to go for it. Really, you've got nothing to lose. I mean, realistically, we're going to be favourites to go down if we get there. But I'll tell you what. I mean, I'm lucky enough. I've got the £500 Premier League season tickets. I'm hoping that I'll get my free season ticket next year. But it's going to be if we get there, and I'll keep saying that, I'm going to be boring. But it's going to be one hell of a ride, if we do get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've already kind of eyed up how the season might go. Obviously, it's way too early and you don't know. But it'll be a case of, we might get battered most weeks, especially away from home. We might take some hammerings. That is quite common for a promoted side. But at the same time, if we can try and make the CVS a fortress, make it a difficult place to go, and when you win at the CVS, you've had to earn it, then that can put you in good stead. Just make the home ground a fortress, and you can do that. You never know. Look at Sunderland. Until recently, it's taken sides over half the season to breach Sunderland at home and to get a win. And their home form has really put them on a really large pedestal. And I'm sure yes, they've been blessed a bit by being half decent away. But if you look at Leeds United, who may be a little bit closer to trouble, but their home form has been the bread and butter of their season. It is very hard to go to Ellen Road and pick up a point, never mind 3.
Yeah.
And they've made that home form their bread and butter. That's what we've got to do. That's what we've got to try and do. It's going to be extremely difficult. Of course it is. We'll be competing against teams who have got 3-4 times, maybe 6 times the budget we're going to have. We're going to have the smallest budget in the Premier League. Every bookmaker's going to have us finish rock bottom. But at the same time, just give it a go. When we're the underdog, historically, we've been a club that's always been the underdog. And when we're the underdog, that's when we're at our brightest. And I'm looking forward to being the underdog. Writers off are at your own peril. We'll hopefully try and prove you wrong.
Exactly, and that's what I mean. The pressure's off. Nothing to lose, and it's lots to be excited about. But anyway, let's just focus on this season. Let's get the business done. Let's get promoted. Fingers crossed. We're winning against Swansea, and we kick on, and then get the points we need to get us out of the Championship back to where we belong, hopefully in the Premier League. So, Cameron, thanks for coming on tonight. Thanks everyone for your comments tonight. It's been much appreciated. So we've got a show Sunday. We'll be reviewing what we hope will be a win against Swansea, and we'll talk about that game in a bit more detail. So thanks, Cameron, for coming on tonight. Before I leave, obviously, I'm just going to go through the last bit of housekeeping. Sponsored by Rightful Steel Fabrications for all your fabrication needs across Coventry and Warwickshire. We're partnered with The Anecdote and the Sky Tavern. We are sponsored by Sky and Friends Dog Walking and Pet Services. We're part of the Sports Social Network, and obviously you can please like and subscribe to us on YouTube, on our All Things Sky Blue channel. And obviously we're available on all the podcast channels, wherever you get them from. So without further ado, thanks Cameron for tonight. Thank you everyone for listening in. Thanks for your comments regarding the game. Let's all sit together. Let's all play up Sky Blues. Let's all sing together. And, we will never lose, whether it's Tottenham, Chelsea, etc. Good night, everyone. Stay safe.